Hello, and welcome to Salesforce Release Readiness Live. We're here to talk about all of the latest and greatest features in the Service Cloud for Summer 17. It's my pleasure to be here today. My name is Leanne Templeman, and I'll be here to help guide the conversation and lead us along as we learn more about all of the new features and products that will be available in the Summer 17 release. So this is your chance, if you've read through the release notes, if you've been reading the blogs, been playing in your sandbox, to learn more about those features and really fill in the gaps where you might have questions or want to better understand how you can take advantage of these new Service Cloud features. And as we go through this experience, you might have questions that come up, and we want to hear those questions and hopefully answer some of them live with our panel of product managers. So I'm going to kick it off to Elna Miller from our success community, and she can explain to you how you can ask questions and communicate with us throughout the broadcast.
All right, great. Thank you, Leanne. Hello, everybody. Welcome and welcome back if you were here earlier this week for some of our other broadcasts. I am Elna Miller. I am one of your community managers in the Success community, in particular in the Release Readiness and Feature Adoption group, where I hope you will all post your questions using the hashtag Salesforce Live. Please feel free to start posting those questions anytime, and we'll get to some, as many as we can, live on the air. Any that we don't get to, we do have that no question left behind policy, so our product managers will follow up with you within the next couple of days. So also, you feel free to post shout-outs on Twitter, and also remember to use that hashtag Salesforce Live. And in addition to the Release Readiness community, I want you all to know that we do have a new special dedicated group for the Service Cloud. So definitely go join Success with the Service Cloud, which you should see the slide there on the screen. And that's a great group for you to join to kind of use it as a jumping off point for resources on the Service Cloud, webinars, and lots of other conversations about Service Cloud. So definitely join that group as well. And back to you, Leanne.
Great, thanks, Elna. So we're really looking forward to hearing your questions and hearing what you like and have questions about throughout the broadcast. However, we have a couple of small logistics items to cover first. First up, this broadcast will be recorded, which means that if you have to tune out at some point, if you've got a meeting to go to, if you want to share this with your colleagues and your fellow awesome admins, you can find the recording where you signed up for this broadcast and also at the bottom of your screen. So please tune in. Have fun with us today. Ask your questions of the Success community. Make sure to join the Service Cloud community as well. And before we get started, I'm just going to cover one last thing, which is our forward-looking statement. Because we're lucky to be joined by a panel of product managers, we might be discussing some future technologies, some roadmaps, some exciting features that are coming, which means that it's important that Salesforce customers make all of your purchasing decisions based on currently available technologies. So that's our forward-looking statement. And without any further ado, I'd love to introduce our panel of product managers.
Thank you, Leanne. Hi, folks. My name is Gautam Vasudev. I am with the Service Cloud group, and I've actually been working here for close to 6 years now in product management. And I have to say, this is a special release for us because this is the first release that we're going live and generally available with Lightning service. So I'm really looking forward to walking you through what's coming out in Summer 17. Deborah?
Thanks, Gautam. I'm Deborah Strusenberg, here to share all the great features that are coming with Lightning Knowlege, also GA in this release with all of Lightning service. So we have a lot to share, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you.
I'm Purvi Srivastav. I'm a product manager for the Omnichannel team here in Service Cloud. I am also excited to bring Omni to Lightning with this release, and can't wait to talk more about it.
And I'm Nathan Beck, and I will be talking basically about the iOS platform as well as the core user experiences that we've updated. So I'm actually on the Field Service Lightning mobile team, so I'll definitely be demoing some of those later.
Great. Well, thank you all for being here. So Gautam, let's get started and hear about what's coming in Service Cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Leanne, before we get kicked off, I think I do want to call out to all of our customers just a great deal of thanks and gratitude from our product management team. I think it's certainly a privilege to work on this team, and the conversations that we've had over the last year, especially since our beta of Lightning service, have been amazing. The feedback that we receive is really helpful, and I'm looking forward to more between now and Dreamforce, as are we all. We want to make Dreamforce really special, and this certainly helps. So with that, let's dive into console and case management. Now, I spoke about why this release is special. It's really special because we've made a lot of progress on our Lightning service capabilities. And if you're one of those customers who checked out our beta with the spring release, you're going to find even more goodness. But for those of you who are listening in today who are not familiar with Lightning Service, let me just introduce it to you at a high level. So Lightning Service is that technology stack. It is the UI and the framework that is going to usher Service Cloud into 2020 and beyond. That's our technology bet. And we've been immensely successful with our classic product. In fact, we've been a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for the last 9 years. Lightning is going to help us continue that leadership into the next 9. So where did we start with Lightning? Of course, there's a lot of surface area to cover when it comes to Service Cloud. We had a lot of capabilities, channel capabilities, functionalities, productivity capabilities. We had to make a beachhead and a start somewhere. And our focus for the summer release really has been on a set of key areas. The first is bring the best of case management and the service console from Classic to Lightning. We had 4 or 5 years of very, very good learning and customer feedback. So as I go through the demo today, you're going to see that the Lightning console and Lightning service looks and feels very familiar. And that's certainly intentional. Along with that, we've also had the opportunity to bring in the best of Lightning into the console. And that's where you will see new Lightning components. You're going to see the related record component. You're going to see the history component. But it hasn't stopped there. We've had the opportunity to leverage all of the goodness of Lightning and bring the best of Lightning to the Service Cloud experience. And what I mean by that is the app builder and the Kanban view and new notes functionality and a lot of other pieces of productivity that we'll walk through when we get to the demo. So let's cut over to the demo right now, because this is really where I think a lot of folks on the call are going to start seeing Lightning service and its power under the hood. So here you're looking at my Lightning console, and I'm looking at a case 1016. And the case happens to be about a microwave which is not working per the customer's expectations. Let me orient you to what you're looking at. The case subject is here along with case details on the left. And this card is, of course, inline editable. Below the case details, I have contact details. Here, you can not only edit the card details inline, but you could also perhaps find a contact or set a contact directly on the case from the case context. You don't need to open a new screen. As you saw, when I set the John Amos contact, not only did we get contact details from the John Amos record, we are also seeing other cases from John Amos. And this is one of the key capabilities that we have in Lightning, where you can show information not just from the case object, but all of the related objects and lookups on the case. So not just the contact, you can see related lists from the case's account or from the case's asset. And I'll show you how easy it is to set this up. In the center here, you see the case feed, and you'll notice that we have a lot of the elements from the classic case feed. So we can quickly skim the case feed. There's a collapse mode to show you just the surface level details. And if you need to go into that next level, you can always expand the case feed. You can go into that level of detail. We also have our feed filters. So if you want to very quickly narrow down what's happening on the case. And a good example of why this is so powerful is that when I look at these feed filters, you can see I was able to bring up or narrow down the feed to just those comments very quickly. If instead I had to do that through my related list, I would actually have to go into that related list section, find the related list, and then access it. So feed filters provide a very powerful way to see filtered content and data right within the context of the case. On the top, we have our publisher actions, and this is where agents and customer service reps self-train to know that actions on the case live here. For example, if I have to make a case comment, it's right in front of me, and email as well. It's the same with social responses and call logs, etc. This capability, of course, carries forward from Lightning, from Classic, and we are seeing even more benefits to using feed-based publishers or case actions within this context. Now, for those of you who do love the traditional transactional field-based view of the case object, that, of course, is available to you. It carries on from Classic. With most of the same capabilities, you have inline edit capabilities and, of course, the full edit screen. But in this, now in Lightning service, we also have keyboard shortcuts. So you can see here that I can actually navigate this entire screen with just my, sorry folks, my case seems to be a little unhappy. So what I'm going to do here and show you a piece of functionality as I'm doing it is that I can now bring up the history component and reopen that case. So once again, carrying forward all of that capability from Classic, we also have a history component, which shows me not only the case or the top-level object I open, but it also shows me those subtabs that I open. So if I open this knowledge article, you'll see that my history component, once again, very neatly categorizes the fact that I'd opened the case and opened the knowledge article below it. Moving to the right hand column, I'll pass it on to Deborah in just a bit to speak about the knowledge component. But what I want to show you is another nifty feature in our related list capability around attachments. Now, you'll see here that I have a Lightning logo that I've added to this related list. What if I was to tell you that in Lightning, all file and attachment related lists actually have drag and drop capability. So you no longer need to go through that Windows Navigator or the Mac Navigator to find a particular file. You can drop not only a single file, you can actually drop multiple files onto the case at the same time. And this saves so many clicks for agents. So I walked you through a lot of functionality that's on the case itself. I want to quickly cover the functionality that comes to you in the utility bar down here. So of course, we have our phone panel, and with Lightning, we've introduced a new demo CTI adapter. For those of you who are not familiar with this, it's just a tool that we help our partners with to show them how CTI integrations work in Salesforce. And you can see here that we are able to simulate incoming calls from contacts. And in the background, you saw Jeff Miner's contact record was screen popped. We also have the history component that I walked through and a new notes component. Now, we've seen over the last few years that multiple customers built this as a custom component in Classic. With Lightning, it just comes out of the box for you. And you can see here that you can take notes, you can associate notes to records, you can share notes as well. So definitely a very powerful paradigm and functionality in Lightning. And then two other points that I want to show, just sneak peeks. Purvi is going to speak about omnichannel in a little bit, but I also wanted to show you macros. So macros is something that we are working on in the background. It's not available with the summer release, but I'll show you a sneak peek anyway. You see here that I actually have a macro that is going to put this case on hold and then add a case comment. And as I'm running the macro, you'll notice that I can actually stop the macro in Lightning. And you might be asking yourself, well, why do agents need to stop a macro? The simple reason is because sometimes agents run the wrong macro. So you don't want a situation where if a macro is begun, there's no ability to stop it. But if you had stopped it and you do want to resume it, you can do that as well. So you can see this macro is running in the background, changing the case status and adding a case comment. Macros should be coming your way with the winter release. I also wanted to highlight that we now have the Kanban view available for cases. So if I go to, say, My Open Cases, I can go ahead and choose the Kanban view. I can summarize it, and I can say, summarize this by case status. And when I go ahead and save, you'll see that I'm automatically seeing the Kanban orientation for cases. Now, if you're wondering, how do I get all of this goodness? And if this is something that you're curious to try out in your sandbox, which I would encourage all of you to do, we would love the feedback. Go to your sandbox, and if you are a Service Cloud customer or a CRM customer, you're going to see this tile. You're going to see the Lightning service tile. When you click on it, everything that I showed you today, with the exception of macros and omnichannel, is just going to be available for you. All of this is pre-configured, and the reason why we are doing this is because we want people to realize that the transition to Lightning is actually quite straightforward when it comes to configuration. We are able to use a lot of the configuration on Classic and bring it to Lightning. The last piece that I'm going to end with is really that secret sauce of Lightning. This is where a lot of people and a lot of customers have gotten so excited about what we're getting in this new service experience. So I walked you through all of these components that we saw on the Lightning case screen. Let me show you how easy it is to set this up. I'm going to drag the same John Amos contact record and the list view onto the case screen. And the way we do that is you would select a related record component, and instead of pointing it to the case, you just say, show me the related record of the contact. And you can see all of a sudden I'm getting those contact details. If you want to show a related list, not from the case, but from the case contact, instead of saying use this case, you would just go to the contact and say, from the contact, get me the contact cases. So these kind of transitive relationships are super powerful, and they really help paint that rich tapestry of Customer 360 that your agents need to save time on clicks and focus more on empathizing with their customers. I'll just leave one last comment. For customers who do use the split view, keep in mind that it's now available in Lightning. You can see here that I have my list of work items alongside my case. And for customers that really love those keyboard shortcuts and saving clicks, that's available too now. And you can access it from either the help menu, where you can say view keyboard shortcuts, or you can bring it up quickly using the command and question mark keys. All right, with that, let me switch back to the presentation. And we've gone through a lot of functionality here. Lightning service is packed. There's a lot of feature functionality that's coming your way. I would encourage all of you to check it out. And there are two tools that everyone on this call should keep in mind when it comes to Lightning service. The first is check with the Lightning roadmap. What if I told you that before Lightning, prior to Lightning, Salesforce never published our roadmaps publicly? However, for Lightning, we definitely want customers to be aware of what's coming up. So check out the Lightning roadmap. The second is there's a tool in your back pocket called the Lightning Readiness check, which you can run against your org at any time. And it's a very clean process. It doesn't impact your data in any way. And it emails you this wonderful PDF which shows you which features you're using in Classic and what they look like in Lightning. So definitely check that out. And if you're curious to know what's coming out in winter, we're all about enabling more functionality, more core functionality around email templates, macros, getting entitlements and milestones through more CTI capabilities like a click-to-dial component. But if you had to take a step back, our real goal is to get to parity with Classic as quickly as you can so that not just new customers, but existing customers get to benefit from this journey. So with that, the next section is going to be knowledge, but let's check if you have any questions.
Yeah, so that was a great demo. Thank you. That was a ton of functionality, and it's amazing to see how much is included with Lightning Service and also how customizable the pages are for all of our customers
Absolutely.
who want to maybe add some additional components or custom components to those case pages. So
Yeah,
that was
definitely.
a really exciting demo. That's awesome. And I know our community is excited too. Elna, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do. Questions just started coming in fast and furious, so I'm going to try to take as many as we can as you're asking them. However, we will follow up with you if we don't get to it in this segment. So there's been a lot of excitement around the console because we did cover it in the Sales Cloud and the App Cloud segments yesterday and the day before, and definitely keyboard shortcuts is huge. I mean, a lot of folks, especially the Service Cloud, because people need to work fast with going through all those cases, and so that's a big one. And also one question from Jeanette about favorites. So we talked about favorites yesterday, and with the App Cloud folks, and they mentioned there was a change to favorites recently that allowed them to be used in the console. So that works in the Sales Console. So if you could tell me, does that also work in the Service Console, and just describe what are the capabilities and limitations?
So great question. Summer is not going to get you favorites just yet. And the reason is, would it surprise you to know there's a bit of a religious debate happening with favorites in the sense that when you favorite something in the console, are you favoriting the whole workspace, or are you favoriting a particular record? So we're definitely trying to accelerate that conversation and get favorites as soon as we can. Between summer, winter, we'll see where it lands.
So in the sales console, you can actually open favorites.
Correct.
That
You can
had
open
created
favorites.
outside of the console. You
Exactly.
just can't create new ones.
Correct.
So can you open favorites in the
Yes.
service console as well?
Yes, absolutely. So that's a great distinction. Opening favorites is going to work the same whether you're in a sales console or a service console. It's really when you're trying to save a favorite in the console that we're trying to make sure that we have the best experience out there.
Right. Thank you.
But I would like to say Lightning service would be a favorite. This will be a favorite for the customers.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of the idea of favoriting the workspace, and that's
Correct.
a different sort of category of favorite. So
Yes.
interesting. And then Jason was wondering, does Lightning Experience need to be enabled for the use of Lightning Service, or is this updated console independent of that?
No, it is a part of the Lightning experience. So you would just enable Lightning based on the standard processes that you are aware of today, which is through the Lightning node and setup. And service Lightning service would just show up as a part of that.
Oh, and the split view is a big one as well.
Yeah.
That's, again, huge for service. Christopher is giving a shout on that one. And you mentioned the roadmap, the general
Yeah.
Lightning roadmap. How would you find the Service Cloud roadmap?
Actually, great question. And I think there's no better way to answer it than just to show everyone who might be listening in today. If you just search for Salesforce Lightning roadmap, you're going to see it come up as either the first or second link. Now, there are two ways you can get it. You can either get a PDF copy, or you can get it from our help section. One thing to note is that whether you're looking at the PDF copy here, or you're looking at the help section, right now, it extends up to summer, and the reason for that is we're just going live with summer. So if you check back here in 2 weeks, you'll see this change to winter. And then the future column is going to point to spring and summer and beyond. So just bear with us, folks. As we go through the summer release, it's going to get updated.
Do we have time for one more question, Leanne?
One more question, and then we're going to move on and hear more about Service
Okay,
Cloud.
one more quick one. So you mentioned the Lightning Readiness check. How does that evaluate Service Cloud readiness for Lightning?
So awesome question. Until summer, the Lightning Readiness Check did not actually incorporate all of the Service Cloud functionality, but we've now extended it not only to cover core case functionality, but also knowledge, console sidebar components, console utility bars, even Omni and Live Agent at the highest level. So Lightning Readiness is your secret tool, as I mentioned. Definitely run it, because now it incorporates Service Cloud in the same way that you would expect it to work for Sales Cloud, for example.
Great. Well, thank you. That was wonderful questions that were asked by the community, and again, a great demo. And we're really excited to hear more about what's coming in Service Cloud for summer. So kicking it off to you, Deborah.
Great, thank you so much. Happy to share more and get into knowledge. So first I want to share the highlights of what we have coming in summer. So we have some really great features like the hover. We have the ability to customize record home. Both of those are things that I'll demo. We also have Lightning Knowlege is now compatible with the Napili template in communities. So that was something that when we released in spring, people were really anxious to see. So it's fully compatible now in the summer release. We also have the ability to import articles with record types, which is our new data model. So I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. And also to import with files into the files object and related list, which is also new features. So with that import capability now, new customers can bring in knowledge articles from other systems or somewhere else and have them configured appropriately for the new style of how we have things working for Lightning Knowlege, the new data model. And then finally, we have compatibility with Salesforce 1, so you can find Lightning Knowlege articles available from your phone. If you're out on the road, you need to get a quick answer, it's there. So I just want to get right into the demo. If we can just switch over to that. I wanted to show features first, and then we can talk about other things like the data model and such. So the first thing I wanted to show is that Knowledge in Classic, you have two nodes when you come to your navigation. So first you would see Knowledge, and then you would also see Article Management. But you'll see that in Lightning, we don't have that. We just have Knowledge. And so this is one of the many ways that moving to Lightning, we have really made Knowledge much more standard, and it's a much more consistent experience using Knowledge in Lightning than it is in Classic. And that's our whole goal with everything that we're doing to rebuild Knowledge in Lightning. You're going to see a lot more consistency and seamless kind of experience with Knowledge. So you have this one node, you come to Knowledge, and you come to a standard list view object home, and that's the same as you saw with case. You also have the same look and feel as other objects. So again, this is a new feature for Lightning only. We also have the ability to have list views. So list views is a huge new feature for Knowledge. We've never had that before, even though many other objects have. So this is one of those things that the work that we've done to build Lightning Knowledge has really brought forward capabilities in the platform that we haven't ever had before. So these are some default list views that we ship with the product, but you also have the ability to create your own, just like you would with any other object. So you can create new, and you can create a list view with fields, any fields on the record. Now that doesn't mean related fields, just to clarify. Sometimes people ask, like, could I put the related case or related data categories? No, unfortunately not. That's just not how list views work. But any fields that you've defined, any custom fields that you've defined, or standard fields are available in your list view. Also, because we're using standard list views, you do have the ability to do split view, like what Gotham was showing before. So split view is also really great for Knowledge because you can have your list and your record home right there. So just to look at record home, again, very standard look to record home for Knowledge. This is a big difference because I know that our detail page in Classic is a very different look to it than most other objects. And it's very configurable, which is also a big difference for us. So you can configure the top here through the compact layout. You can decide what fields you want to show there. You can define your page layout and define all these fields that you want to see. In the body, you can put sections in. The sections are collapsible, so if you want to have some information that's there and useful for maybe your authors, but maybe not as much for people that are reading it, you can either remove that information altogether from their view, or you can just collapse it. Additionally, with defining your page layouts, you can now define page layouts per record type. Record type is the new big difference in our data model in Lightning Knowledge from what we had in Classic, where we used article types. So with record type functionality, it's standard record type functionality where you define page layouts per record type per user profile. So everybody can have, depending on their user profile, can have a different look to their page. They can have different actions available to them in the upper right-hand corner. And they can also have different related lists available on the related tab. So maybe this promoted search terms related list is only useful for your authors, so you could just remove that if you make a page layout for your people that use or read Knowledge articles. So it's very, very easy and declarative to do. You just drag and drop when you're defining your page layout. One other thing that I wanted to point out, I am actually on a published article, but if I go to my drafts here, and I pick a draft article and come to my related list, the great functionality that Gotham, this one has one already. Let me go to one that doesn't. I want you to see that the great functionality that Gotham was explaining that his team delivered on how to be able to drag and drop onto files. Now Knowledge is no longer, we don't have files and attachments in file fields like we do in Classic. We're using the standard files object and the standard files related list. And because we've made that move to have a much more standard approach and using components that other objects and other teams are using, when Gotham's team put in upload and drag and drop files, like we just got that capability available in Knowledge, and that's something that customers have really been asking for. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, Deborah, I think there's perhaps something even more profound in what you're saying, because in Lightning, Knowledge is more like a first-class Salesforce object than ever,
Yep.
and it gets to leverage all of those features and capabilities which it didn't have the opportunity for in Classic because it was on the article type paradigm versus the record type paradigm.
Right.
And one of those areas which is particularly exciting for me is the app builder experience for Knowledge.
I'm going to show that next. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for this feature, and this is a testament to what we've done with standardizing. We did a lot of work for a couple releases where we were a little quieter, didn't necessarily come to release Readiness Live, but we were doing this underlying work that Gautam's referring to, where we were moving from a very unique data model with article types to using record types. And that work has made it possible for us to consume a lot of much more platform standard approaches, as you're seeing here, to how Knowledge will deliver all of our features. So yeah, and one of the other features that I'm really excited about that you were just mentioning, it was like you knew, is one of the things that we've heard from customers a lot is that it's very difficult to configure the page in Classic, and you have to build a new Visualforce page, and then any feature we roll out, you have to custom build it into your Visualforce page, and that can just be for the littlest, smallest thing in Knowledge. It's been something that we've heard a lot of feedback from our customers. So I just want to flip over here to setup for a minute. One thing also is Knowledge setup is much more standard than it has been before. So when you go to Object Manager and you see all the objects, you have Knowledge in there as well. And one of the great features that you have here is this Lightning record pages. So you can define your own record page, and the record page is what is available on the page that we were just looking at on the detail page where you're viewing your article. And all of the components, just like you can with the console, you can configure the record page. So I'll just do this very quickly. The first thing is you decide if it's a record page, and you move on to that. And we'll just say demo for here. And we have all these objects, so you can do this for many other objects, not just Knowledge. And then you have all these templates that you can use to decide, what do you want how do you want it to look? So maybe we want a left-hand sidebar instead of the right-hand sidebar that we were looking for. So you can just come in here, and then it's telling you to just drag and drop. So maybe I want my votes component to show there, and I want maybe my chatter feed to be over here, and my record detail. It's this easy to configure your page, and then you just save it, and now you have a new page, and you'll be able to assign that to user profiles to decide who sees what. So I highly recommend that people play around with this when they get a chance and an opportunity to try out Lightning Knowledge. This is one of the great new features that I'm really excited about, because this means that now when we deliver features, we can deliver them as components. Our customers can customize their page and their experience. You can build your own components. You can use components from partners or anyone else, but you don't have to miss out on the features that we're delivering in all of the components that we're building too, because you needed to customize for something that was important to your business. So I'm really excited about this feature, and I have one more to show. You had something?
Oh, I was going to say that it's been a journey for Knowledge, and recently I had a customer ask me that can we leverage some of this goodness in Classic, and this is something that is tied with Lightning only. Internally we use a term called hashtag only in Lightning. This is one of those real capabilities that you want to move to Lightning for. This level of customization with Knowledge is just not something that we can achieve in Classic today.
Yep. The one thing I will say about that, because I do get that question a lot, is if somebody is using a Classic console and they just want to be able to get to their articles in the sidebar, they actually can make the switch. It is a back-end data model switch to move to Lightning Knowledge. So it's a little harder configuration than it is to go to the console. But once they've done that back-end data model change, most of the features are optimized for Lightning. So the files, being able to use files and files object and drag and drop and being able to customize the page, that's definitely hashtag only in Lightning. But being able to come back to a classic console and just read articles is still available. So that's really important if the organization wants to make the move to Lightning in phases. And right, and so they have maybe one group is still in the classic console and they want to still be able to get to their articles. They will be able to still view them there. They will actually even be able to edit them, but there will be some limitations. So yeah,
Got it.
Thanks for the question on that. So just one final thing to show that Gotham started to show, and then he didn't explain it, so I'm happy to take it.
I didn't want to steal your thunder there.
Thank you, I appreciate it. This is one of my favorite features because we've been working on it. We've wanted to do it for a very long time. So when you're in the console, you're in the context of a case. You want to, search for your articles. You have suggested articles, and you want to just go through them quickly and see if they're going to work for the case. Now you can just hover over the article.
Whoa, that's magic.
Yeah. And you can scroll down and read it. You have actions here, so you could edit it or archive it. Anyway, the hover capability is one of my favorite new features because it just means that you can stay within the context of your case. You can look through your articles very quickly. You don't have to open too many tabs. You can still open tabs. You can still click it and open a tab if you want to preserve that. Or you can still look at the history component. So, but it's just a way for people to really quickly find the article they want and decide what to do with it. So let's move back to the slides. So just to cover the roadmap, we have, summer features we talked about already. In winter, we are going to be introducing the first part of supporting translated articles. So this has been a big ask for many customers that are multi-language. So right now, if you're trying to enable Lightning Knowledge and you have multi-language enabled, you cannot enable Lightning Knowledge. So we will start in winter with being able to read articles in Lightning. You'd still have to go back to Classic to manage the translations and to create new translations, but you'll be able to read translated articles within Lightning. And then in future releases, as you can see in the future part, we'll bring the manage capabilities into Lightning as well. We are also building a migration tool. The closed pilot is very, very closed pilot in winter. I just will say that. It's really for proof point to make sure that we're building it in the right way. I would look for the spring release and beyond to be really when people will want to use the migration tool. And that will help people move from the article type data model that we have today and be able to then move to record types and move the files from the file fields to the files object. And we have a lot of other really great features coming, and I just want to be mindful of time. So,
well, that was a wonderful demo. I mean, it's really exciting, especially for our admins out there who are managing knowledge and managing record or many object types, right? To be able to work with knowledge the same way they're used to working with other objects. So really exciting. I do know we want to show more about Service Cloud, so maybe let's take one or two questions, and we'll come back to more questions at the end when we have time.
Okay, rapid fire here. So definitely the biggest excitement is around the record types.
Yes.
And Knowledge is GA in summer, is that correct?
It is GA.
Yeah, so Lightning Knowledge, I should say. And Alfred says, OMG, thank you for record types and knowledge. 3 exclamation points.
Oh,
after that.
good.
And Cloudy agrees 100%. And there's also lots of interest in the drag and drop file functionality, and in particular using other use cases for it. So if you know of any other use cases, is it limited to Service Cloud, or is that drag and drop available in other parts of Lightning, say sales or?
Right, so great question. Any files related list now on any Salesforce object is drag and drop capable. And one question in particular that we get asked is, what if I'm uploading multiple files and there is an error? We actually handle that gracefully in the sense that we will upload all of the files that we can. And for the single file where there is a conflict, we will stop the process for that file individually. So just a little bit of nuance to know that not only is it single file for every Salesforce object, it's also you can do multiple file attachments to drag and drop at the same time.
Great.
It's so great. It's one of my favorite features too.
I love hearing the excitement from the community around how they can work with Knowledge and how they can work with Service Cloud. And now let's hear about how they can work with Omnichannel and Live Agent in Summer 17.
Awesome. Yeah. So Very excited, more excited than these people because I'm going third, so I have to be more excited about omnichannel and all the digital channels like Live Agent that we are bringing to market with Lightning. So the two highlights for the release are Lightning, and then secondly, opening up the partner system with external routing option. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both those options before we go into a real quick demo because we want to make sure our debut participant here gets some time. So with omnichannel, we are bringing the whole routing capability to Lightning with summer release. It's open beta, so there is no perm required. You will get it with the summer release. When I say omni, people often get confused. They are like, oh, so maybe this is a retail strategy for a big conglomerate. And it's not, honestly. It's a routing engine. It's an intelligent routing engine. And there are three parts to it. The first part is routing, which is how to map right work to the right agent at the right time. The second part is presence, and how you capture your agent's presence, whether it be online, whether on a break, whether reflected to a particular channel. And then final part is the Omni Supervisor Console, which is how you manage the real-time operational insights from a manager's point of view. And we are bringing the first two parts, routing and presence, to Lightning. So you would be able to push work as long as that object or that channel is queuable and it is in Lightning. For example, cases and leads would work. Some of the other channels, real-time channels like Live Agent Chat or Live Message would be coming in with our later release. The chat product would be live. I'm going to show you a sneak peek. It's pretty. In winter, Safe Harbor, and then Live Message in spring next year. So it's an exciting feature. You should turn it on in your org. I mean, there's nothing to turn on, but use it in your orgs. Give us the feedback. We want to know how else can we improve the experience. So that was Lightning. Super excited. But the goodness doesn't end there. We want to also make sure that we give our customers the option or the choice to identify what routing mechanism fits better for them. So with external routing solution, we are actually disintegrating the routing decision from the routing execution. So you decide as a customer if you want to route all your channels through Omni, or you want to route some of the channels through Omni and some through a third party or external partner, or route everything to the external partner and have the decision getting executed by omnichannel. So that is what we've done. We've opened up our system with a set of APIs, and we've integrated with most of our connected partners to bring this to market.
And Purvi, I know you've been working one-on-one with some of these partners, so this is a shout-out for any of our CTI partners and vendors who are listening in today. This news should be very exciting for you. We've been working with a few already, but check out these APIs that Purvi is referring to because you want to know about the new routing options that are available.
Right. Yeah, that's a perfect thing for you to do. And I was at a partner reception, I think a couple of weeks ago. There's so much excitement in the community. So if you want to talk more, definitely reach out to me or the community, and we'll be happy to help you. I do want to go into a little bit of detail of how this would work. So with external routing, you have to do two things, kind of a pre-work. You have to get the perm enabled in your org, and any of the support team members can do that. The second thing is you would have to set up a queue with the routing type, which is external, in order to route that work through Omni. And the final thing is you would create a push topic with our streaming APIs, which are publicly available. Now, they would also have the Omni entities like user service presence, the way we manage availability, and pending service request, which is our internal entity for queuing of work. So both of those entities are now available for streaming APIs. Create a push topic with a SOQL query, not going very technically into details, but that's all the setup that you would need. And once that happens, any work that is pushed inside Salesforce would automatically trigger a notification in the partner system, and then they can take a routing decision based on the capacity and availability and route it through Omni. So easy peasy, easy to set up. Check it out in your orgs. Talk to me or talk to one of our support personnel, and we should be able to get it done. And with that, I would want to move into a really quick demo. So what you see on my screen right now is the awesome console that Gautam and Devra talked about. And I'm going to show you how to push work to your agents in Lightning so that they don't end up cherry picking, because who wants that, honestly? So I'm going to go here and change the status of my presence to online, which just means I can take up cases. Those are the new sounds, by the way. We also improved that. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, with this particular case, I don't think I'm equipped to work on it. So I'm going to provide a decline reason. And all this is, again, configurable through your Omni setup, and submit it. Once I do that, I've also configured it in a way that my status would be set to away. And this is, again, configurable, so you can do that in your presence status options. But I'm going to accept this one camping spot case, because who doesn't love camping, right? And once I do that, you can see that my console view changes 360 degree. I can see images, I can see header components, I can see everything that is needed as an agent to resolve that case. And that is bringing the power of console, the power of productivity tools, and the power of push to Lightning service. So that was omni-channel for you. We are bringing more with our roadmap. So I want to go back to slides here and share a little bit about what's in store. So we are very, very excited to bring Live Agent to Lightning with our next release in October. The UI is going to blow your minds away. It's been an emotional journey, and I think all of you would agree. We started Lightning a couple of years ago, and starting from the inception with our design teams to our engineering teams, the PM teams, everybody has invested so much in bringing this to market that we feel this is the right thing for the customers to do, going beyond what the industry is offering today and going much beyond what the vision can be with any other place. So with Live Agent, it will be available in Lightning starting winter. And then Omni Supervisor, the APIs enhancements are going to come. So winter is going to be a jam-packed Lightning release for Omnichannel and Live Agent. Moving beyond, the one thing that I want to highlight is skills-based routing, because every conversation that I am in, I've been asked, when is skills coming to Omni? So do not worry about it. We listen to the feedback very carefully. We're going to bring them to market pretty soon, sometime next year, and then continue to invest on those channels going forward. And I think I'm ready for some questions if we have, before passing it to Nathan. Or
well, I'm sure that we have questions, because that was a great demo and a very exciting roadmap with bringing Omni to Lightning. So I'm sure that we have questions from our Service Cloud community. Elna?
Boy, I tell you that the Service Cloud features just keep coming. This is the third, it's going to be now the third release in a row where it's just huge amounts of just amazing progress in Lightning. So kudos to you all. And there's a question from Sophie about Omni. So she wants to know, does Omni Supervisor come with Omnichannel in this beta version?
So Omni Supervisor is not going to be available on Lightning with the beta version in summer. However, it is going to be available with winter release under Safe Harbor.
Right. I'm excited about Live Agent as well.
Live Agent is going to blow your minds away.
Can't wait.
Guarantee that.
I bet we're going to hear about it at Dreamforce.
It'll be used at Dreamforce.
So what about, so the external routing feature you were talking about, is there any documentation on that? How can people learn about that?
Yeah, so there is documentation. What I would suggest is raise a support request, and they would be able to enable it in your org, as well as provide your technical documentation. If you want to move beyond that, there's always, I would be happy to help. I'm the point of contact for external routing, so I would be happy to get into a discussion and explain how this will be implemented in real time. So.
Great. And how will capacity and presence be managed in that external routing feature?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a trick situation. The general recommendation is partners should, if they're routing everything through the partner ecosystem, they should manage capacity, because right now we do not have a way to calculate capacity on our side with external integrations. Moving forward, that would change. Availability, however, should be managed through Omni, and we have good console APIs to sync presence statuses.
All right, thank you. And I want two more questions, very quickly. So another potential hypothetical scenario, what if there's a failure in routing, and is it possible to resend a work item if it doesn't go through?
Yeah, so what happens with streaming APIs is you can replay your events up to 24 hours. So if you have a failure and you are tracking the ID or the PSR ID, you would be able to replay it in the partner ecosystem.
Perfect. Now you mentioned some things coming in on the roadmap. So what about specifically the setup for omnichannel? When is that coming to Lightning?
Now, I want to give a shout out to our setup team here, the Lightning setup team. They're doing really amazing work with not only omnichannel, with cases, with CTI, with Knowledge. And they are making setup very easy. So sometime around mid next year is when we'll see Omni and Live Agent both go live on Lightning setup.
Actually, I'll make a quick shout out to the setup team as well. For the folks who are listening in today, definitely check out this service setup experience. This is something that has a focus particularly for service admins, and it has these things called Lightning setup flows. Our portfolio of Lightning setup flows has now grown to 6, so these help you set up, say, email to case, or set up social or Facebook, Twitter channels, for example. And the goodness about these setup flows is that they're handheld, very prescriptive experiences. They're 4 or 5 steps. But the best part for any admin on this webinar today, the flows are what we call closed loop. So the flows will actually test your setup. Like for the email to case flow, we actually send an email to your address, make sure a case is created from it. So an admin is going to step out of that experience with a high degree of confidence that everything is working as expected. So for those of you who don't use a Facebook channel but might be curious, the Lightning setup flow is a great tool to get started.
Thank you.
Thanks to the great PMs that work on LSS. We are going to get them here next time for US.
All right. I think we're ready to go on to the next section. So,
I think so. Yeah, we want to make sure that we hear everything that's coming, or almost everything that's coming in Service Cloud in summer. So Nathan, I'd love to.
All right, so like everybody else, I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of how we've gotten to where we are today. So what you can see is we're really investing heavily in the field service Lightning experience. So in just over a year, we've really done a lot of great features. So with the iOS app specifically just coming out in the spring release, you can see we've already had that out there. We've learned a lot, and that's where what drove a lot of the new features that we're going to see in summer of 17. So I'm not going to go through each of these guys. I have another slide where I'll talk a little bit more in depth, but I just wanted you guys to see kind of the scope of what we've been working on. So when we first launched the iOS app, I think we kind of focused on the very first bullet here. So we wanted to create a dedicated offline first mobile experience, and we kind of did that with our general availability app that we launched. Now we're going to expand that, and this is kind of the vision as we look going forward, and this is going to drive a lot of the new features. But we want to really hit on these next 2 bullets, which is about becoming more intelligent about our scheduling and optimizing and thinking about the dispatch experience. And on top of that, we also want to look at how we're going to really create this more powerful customer engagement and also enhance the productivity of the technician. So if you think about it, the technician is kind of out in the wild, and their only way to actually interact with field service Lightning is through the application. So we need to really remember that and think about those use cases very closely. So this is what kind of keeps us grounded as we think about new features for in the app or even in the core. So here's kind of a highlight of what we're talking about for releasing this summer. So the items in orange I'll actually do a little bit deeper dive on with demos, but I'll talk through a couple pieces that I want to make sure everyone is aware of. So for iOS app, we've got a lot of great features, and I'm going to talk a lot about those. But I also want to touch on the Android app. So as part of summer, we're going to be moving into an open pilot, which is incredibly exciting. So we've got that on the roadmap, as well as in core, we've made a lot of great improvements. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about preventative maintenance, which has been a big ask, as well as dynamic Gantt charts, which really hits on this kind of intelligent piece that I spoke to earlier. And we also have this thing at the bottom, which is also in beta, called street level routing. So this is super cool. This really brings in a lot of real-time data, and really kind of, once again, getting back to the technician, gives them the power that they need to do their job most efficiently. And the last thing I'll hit on, we also were able to fit in employee timesheets. So this is a big request as well. So we've got that on the core experience for now, which is great, and we'll look at expanding that into other platforms for future releases. So with that, I'm going to actually dive into just a few slides here on the core experience. So let's talk about preventative maintenance. So for preventative maintenance, I've taken a screenshot here of what we've done. So we've actually created a new object called maintenance plan, and I've called out a few key pieces. So this is really going to cover a lot of the basic maintenance experiences that you may be looking for. So let's say you have a vehicle that's part of a fleet, and at the top there you can see that you've kind of got a time frame of when this is actually going to be relevant. So maybe it's a 5-year expected life of that car. When you move down to the work order generation piece, this is where it becomes a little bit more powerful. So you can say, you know, what is the frequency that I actually want to go through that preventative maintenance? Is it once a year? Is it once every 2 months? You have that flexibility to define that. And then you can also say, what is kind of the maintenance window that I actually want to use? So is it 5 days before that's due, up to 5 days after, or what is that kind of flexibility there to actually accomplish the maintenance? And then the last piece that you can specify is how long do I want to actually build this out for? So do I want this to just be 2 years worth of maintenance requests, or do I want 5 years? And you can specify all that in this mode. And then the nice thing is once you got that all set up, you actually go to this piece where you can actually generate the specific work orders for each of these items. So you can see the work orders were generated, and then you can use these as you please. So this is a really powerful tool, and we're excited to get this out there for summer. The next piece I'm going to talk about, also still in slides before I jump into the live demo, is the dynamic Gantt charts. So I'm actually really excited about this. There's a lot of great features that actually roll up under this, so I'll break it down into a few of those features. So the first piece is the fix overlaps. So where this really comes into is you can see on this first screenshot here, like let's say you're a technician and you're out and you're running late after your first appointment. So this could mess up your whole day. So what this feature does is it identifies that you have this overlap, and it invokes this little button here that says fix overlap. And what that does is basically identify how it can move your schedule around, still stay within the constraints that you've specified with each of those appointments, and also not violate any SLAs. So this is really powerful, continuing to optimize the technician's daily schedule. The next piece of dynamic Gantt is the ability to fill in a schedule. So in this scenario, let's say I'm a technician and I'm out, I've already left and I've got my day planned, and all of a sudden a customer cancels in the afternoon. So now I've got kind of this idle time that we can really fill in. So what fill in schedule does is it sees this and it looks for any pending work orders and is able to slot that in where it makes the most sense. So you're able to keep the resource up and running the full time and throughout the whole day instead of just having some idle time at that point. And then the last two features are kind of lumped into one. So the scenario here that I'll kind of talk through is basically talking about appointment reshuffling and also grouping nearby appointments. So let's say, once again, the technician leaves, you've got this nice planned out day, an optimized loop here, and all of a sudden you have some type of emergency appointment that comes in. Your power company, there's a wire down, you need to go fix that immediately. So now you've kind of diverted your whole schedule to actually go and fix this emergency appointment. So what that does is, first off, we're able to reshuffle all those appointments to make that fit into your schedule. But what we've also done is take it a step further, where now we can say, hey, you're in a new location, let's group any of the appointments that are around that area and schedule those now. And so we're still going back to kind of optimizing the route. So that's kind of what you see in the third screen there, is we've taken all this information and created a much more optimized route for that technician. So like I said, this is really kind of getting at the intelligence and focused on the experience of the technician. So really excited to see those out there. So the last piece, I'm actually going to jump over to my phone to demo what we've done in the iOS app here. So let me make sure I'm sharing.
These guys went all out in this release. I feel
that's a lot. It's not just my team. There's lots of teams that that worked on this.
Customers are going to be so happy.
So hopefully everybody can see my screen. So what I'm going to talk about here first is just a couple of the UI updates that we've made. So people that are familiar with how the app looked previously, we've made a few tweaks that hopefully make it a little bit more user-friendly. So the first thing in this kind of purple header bar, you'll notice that we've got a new map icon. So this used to just be text that said list or map. When you click on the map icon, you still see the map with your appointments for the day, as you typically would. And you can still swipe through each of those and see each appointment with ETAs. So really, we've just changed how you access that menu. The biggest change really that we've done is we've taken the calendar where you've been able to select your dates, so your date picker, and we moved it to the top right-hand corner of the app. So when you click this, you've got quick buttons to flip to tomorrow. You can scroll through your calendar to select a specific day. But this is now where you can customize the view that you actually see here based on date. And what we've done in the place of where the date picker used to be is we've added one of the big features of this release, which is custom list views. So now when I click in this middle section here, you see a drop down of all the custom views that the admin set up, but me as a technician, I can actually go in and select what works best for me. So this is really powerful, and you can see that it's very easy for people to have multiple list views here that they can swap between. If I dive into, so this list view I've created called location-based, which is specific for this demo today. What I want to show is that we also support multi-day appointments now. So you can see this first appointment started on Monday, June 5th, and actually goes until June 8th. So since we've already been working on this for 3 days, you can see a nice visual indicator on the left-hand side there that you're kind of 3 days into this 4-day appointment. So that's really quick and easy for the technician to look at. We also identify easily the service appointments that have been completed. So that's this item here that's got the green check mark. And really just kind of thinking about the interface and how we can use that smarter. So if I dive into this first appointment, we've also tweaked a little bit of this top anchor section of the app as well. So we've enabled 2 new customization tokens that you can add that can kind of recreate this screen here. And we've also added the object name at the top. So for example, I'm looking at a work order, so we've added the work order label at the top, which is really convenient because sometimes people can get lost in kind of where they're at. So that's kind of a lot of the customization that we've done. So the other feature that I want to talk about now is, let's say that I'm actually at this work site, and now I want to see all the other work orders that are also at that same location that I'm already at. You know, maybe I can knock something out while I'm there. So in this carousel, we've added this new tab called Location. And what this Location tab does is it pulls all of the scheduled work orders or completed work orders for that location that I'm currently at. So this is really powerful. It's a great way for the technician to say, you know, I finished a little bit early. Maybe I'll go ahead and knock out my June maintenance that I've scheduled through my preventative maintenance tool. So all this stuff is kind of coming together to make it very easy for the technician again. And the last feature, this is a really big one that we've launched as part of summer, is the ability for product requests through the app. So if I click into the inventory tab here, you'll see we've created a new cell called product requests at the top. And if I tap on that, you can now see these are some of the different criteria that I've set up. So I can see any of my product requests that have been completed, so I know that I've received those products. You can quickly tap in there. And you can also request straight from the app. So if I hit this plus sign at the top corner here, and let's say I'm doing like getting the supplies for my June maintenance. So let's say that I need a scrub brush. So I got a scrub brush. Let's take 3 of those. And then maybe I also need a bin for the coffee. So I'll take 2 of those. And as you can see, as I've added those, they start to show up in my cart here. So if I click View Cart, once again, you get a quick summary, so you can add more quantity or you can drill into the details. I'm just going to go ahead and hit Checkout here. So I know the work order ID because I wrote it down here, but so I know which work order ID I want to relate this to. And then as far as description goes, I'm just going to paste in that this is for my June maintenance. And then I submit that. And what you'll see is now, for example, all requests has incremented. And if I go into this screen and refresh, you'll see that my June maintenance items have now shown up in this list. And I can drill in and look at each product line item or look at anything related or details to that specific product request. So that's what we have for summer. We're pretty excited about it. So with that, I guess let's see if we have any questions.
Yeah, I'm kind of blown away by how many features and how much thought went into this product because, I mean, talk about taking the pain out of managing logistics, you know, both for the service managers and for the technicians. And, you know, imagine doing all this on spreadsheets.
Yes,
right?
A lot of people do. It's our biggest competitor.
I can't even imagine.
Another really interesting point is how the conversations around field service have really changed since we launched. Originally, our focus was definitely around the core field service and the technician use case, but the conversation really shifted to other use cases like mobile nurses and claims adjusters and professional services, etc. So that dispatch and the scheduling capability and even the mobile app, for the folks on the call, you know, there are use cases that you really want to be looking at for field service.
Yep.
I think Michael Chow put it, who is a product manager on the field service team, he put it rightly. If you have physical movement in your business, you should look at field service.
I like that. Thanks. That's a good one. So let's start with the Android app since you were just demoing it. So when can we get it? The beta.
Yeah, so the Android app is moved into an open beta, which is really exciting. What I would recommend is reaching out to your account team and ask to be nominated for the open beta. So we're definitely looking for people to get in there and start testing it out. But that's the best way to get involved.
And this would generally be existing field service customers.
Yes, absolutely.
Mostly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then not that I want to ask for pie in the sky here, but what if you're looking at that app and you want to see, okay, I'm looking at my route. What about the traffic? Does the Street View look at the traffic?
Yeah, so I mentioned some of the street level. So we are definitely taking into account the real-time traffic at that moment. So for example, if the technician wakes up and looks at kind of what's next in their schedule, we'll take into account the traffic there. But what we're not doing quite yet is the predictive traffic. So they can't necessarily say, oh, my appointment at 3 p.m. this afternoon, what does it look like for me to get there? So that's something that we'll be adding for our future.
So you can see traffic right now.
Traffic right
just
now.
Not what it might be at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. And there is a question from Kimberly. Does the Gantt chart integrate with Salesforce calendar events in some way?
That I don't know.
So,
Anybody on the call?
unfortunately, not at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but certainly in our journey to Lightning, I think this is going to be a key area because the Lightning calendar is going to be that one-stop shop for all calendars for a Salesforce user, in the sense that it can look at your Outlook calendar, it can look at your Gmail calendar, and it's certainly going to be something that can look at your field service schedule.
Thanks. Now, I have one more question for Nathan, and then I'd like to maybe circle back and take some questions that came in for some of the other folks, if that's okay. So we talked about the Android app. What about the iOS app? When is that going to be available?
Yeah, absolutely. So the iOS app is planning to be in the store towards the end of this month. So it'll be out there before you know it.
That is soon.
Yes.
So you ready to move back? Let's
I think
go back
that'd
and
be great.
revisit
I'm sure that we
some
still
things.
have some questions from all of the features that we saw. So if there's other questions from other product areas, let's talk about
All right, I'll just fire away until we run out of time. If you have more questions, do it quick because we're going to go off the air in about 6 minutes or so, if I'm looking at the clock correctly. So this is for Gautam. Sophie was asking, is there a place where we can see a list of features that compares Lightning service versus classic service to help evaluate, other than the readiness check? I mean, I know that's the big one, right? You can run that right in your org. But is there a place where you can just see generally, features that are available on the roadmap, et cetera?
Right, great question. And customers have been asking us for different permutations of either the readiness check or the roadmap in this comparative fashion. There have even been requests for white papers to be put out so that there's an easier business justification that can be sold internally. For example, Lightning is better because, and whether it's performance or components, etc. So specifically for a comparative study, that is something that we would include as part of this white paper, and the white paper is something that we will be working on over the next release, and hopefully much before the Dreamforce timeframe, we'll put it out to get feedback so that at Dreamforce we want to showcase it.
Yeah, I would definitely start with the readiness check, and there's actually, if you run the readiness check, you're not on your own interpreting that. There are consultations that you can sign up for. There's webinars on it to help you interpret and understand what to do with it, because sometimes it can be fairly voluminous, the report. Yeah. So somebody will help you get through that and interpret what are small little things and what are bigger things.
Yeah, this is a great clarification too, because the readiness check has some really interesting information. In addition, specifically for Service Cloud, we're probably going to append an extra 10 steps for migration of Lightning service to that as well. So coming in the works.
Yeah, I know JB's the product manager who owns Readiness Check. He's always hard at work adding new things to it all the time. So if there is something that you don't see in there that you'd like to see, he's always open to feedback.
Yeah.
So,
it's
like almost every month that he's doing a new release. So Kimberly was asking, is there any benefit to creating different consoles for service and sales for different use cases, or should you just have one console and just have everybody use that?
Good question. I think if your users are going to be spanning multiple objects, it's just easier to have one console. However, in many of our customers, for example, tier 1 reps only know cases. That's their entire worldview. There's little benefit to putting opportunities or leads or contacts. So it really depends on the use case. For more mature customers where the role is very well defined, you might have a specific console. For other customers where you do have cross-object, where your agents are also your inside sales, then you want to have one console because it's no different.
The same thing with sales. People are just focused on sales. They're all about leads, contacts, and accounts and opportunities, and maybe they want the dialer, for example, in there,
Right.
whereas the support agents might have, knowledge in there. So you might have some differences in the way you configure the console, depending on what their role is. But certainly you could if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on your organization.
One rule of thumb when it comes to just designing applications for end users, keep it simple. The simpler that you can make the experience, the more productive your users are going to be, and the faster they'll ramp up.
But one thing I would say add to that is don't hide things that they might use. Like sometimes people
great
will
point.
not put certain objects into a console thinking, well, they're not going to need this, and then they want it and they have to kind of hunt for it. So I think it is really role-based, right, to figure out the right things that person needs all the time and may need.
Okay, I've got another one for an Omni question from, I'm going to call you Shar because I can't pronounce your whole name. What about role hierarchy support for Omni Supervisor?
That's a good question. So we are working on that feature for our winter release under Safe Harbor for October. And you would be able to see some visibility options coming out in winter. If not winter, definitely spring.
Got it, thanks. And Jennifer just asked, can the sales team who uses Sales Cloud see the work order schedule in Lightning Field Service?
Yes, they should be able to. We'd have to check on the correct permissions that would be needed.
Yeah, would be a related list on the account or?
Yeah, they should still be able to see that, yep.
Got it. And Alfredo you mentioned entitlements and milestones in the console, and I think you mentioned that as part of the roadmap. Can you just talk about where that's at again?
So actually, in conjunction with the field service team, we're delivering both the milestones component that you might be familiar with from Classic, which is the countdown timer when you look at a case, as well as milestones, service contracts, and entitlements, and that's all coming in the winter timeframe. So you should be up and running in case that's something that's blocking you at the moment in Lightning.
Got it. Now, what about the console toolkit? Is that something you can use in Lightning?
That's a great question. So this is definitely something for everyone who's listening in today to be aware of. The shape of the console toolkit in Lightning is different from Classic. So if you have a Visualforce page that has a lot of customization and is using those console APIs, it's not going to be something you can drop into Lightning and have work. There is a Lightning console toolkit API. It has many of the same names and much of the same syntax. We've taken the opportunity to upgrade the API to use JSON-based parameter passing. And there's a pilot out for it right now. But you should see a lot more maturity and the final shape of it in the winter and spring timeframe. So like Puri mentioned, if this is an area that's concerning for you or you want to learn more about it, definitely reach out. It's a more nuanced conversation.
All right, I'm going to do one more question for Knowledge, and then we'll be ready to sign off for the day. So you talked about maybe using a hybrid of Classic and Lightning. So can you just describe again how you might be able to have users using Knowledge in both Classic and Lightning, and what are the use cases for that?
Sure. So I would say, the way that would work is that they would first have to be able to move to Lightning, and that there are specific criteria that need to be kept in mind to decide if somebody can move to Lightning. For example, right now, currently, we're not supporting multi-language organizations, but that will be coming starting in winter, phased approach through the next couple of releases. So if they're ready, if they look at it and realize, okay, for the most part, the features that we need are fine, I don't really need to migrate, maybe I'm a new customer, or I have minimal need for migration. I didn't have multiple article types, and they can enable Lightning now, then what would happen is you would enable Lightning Knowledge, and then all of the features that I demoed would be available in Lightning. And then switching back and forth between Lightning and Classic is very easy. You just kind of go in the upper right-hand corner and switch back and forth. Any user can do that. It's not blocked, right? I think anybody can switch back and forth between Classic and Lightning. So they would just, whoever is still working in Classic would continue to work there. They will see some subtle differences between Lightning and Classic. So when they're back in Classic now, but Lightning Knowledge, the back-end data model change has been made. It's a little confusing, I know, but when the back-end data model of Lightning Knowledge has been enabled and they're working in Classic, they will no longer be able to filter a search by article type, because there's no more article types. And the files, if they had file attachments in Classic, they wouldn't see the files object now and any related files that are added there. So those are just a couple of differences, but for the most part, they could continue to author an article in article management. They can continue to actually edit them there. They can see them in the sidebar in the Classic console. They can search for them and still attach them to case and do all of that. So the rest of the functionality will be preserved in Classic. There's just a few subtle differences.
Perfect. That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, I think we're done with questions for now, but if you have any more questions or if we didn't get to your question, just go back into the Release Readiness and Feature Adoption group in the Success community. We'll follow up with you there. I'm sure you'll have questions that occur to you as you go in your sandbox and start experimenting with some of these things. So, and please also join the Service Cloud, the Success with Service Cloud community group as well. Any questions you have about Service Cloud, you're welcome to post there as well. And we'll see you there.
Great,
Thanks,
thank you,
Leanne.
Anna. And thank you for all those great questions and for those wonderful demos and deep dives into all these features. What an exciting release for Service Cloud, right? This is really cool.
It's the year of service.
Yeah. So a lot for our admins and Service Cloud customers to go spend time in their sandbox, spend time playing with these features and getting hands-on and understanding how they can make them available to their users. Well, thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for joining us. That's been the Salesforce Release Readiness overview of Service Cloud. If you'd like to come back and watch it, the recording's going to be posted, as well as short snackable recordings of the individual sections. So you can watch our entire broadcast, or you can watch different sections at your leisure. Thank you again so much for joining us. This has been Service Cloud in Summer 17. Join us tomorrow, same time, same place, for the Community Cloud in the Summer 17 release. Thank you, and have a great day.